But Jim, it has come out now. We're talking about the rights renewal for AEW. Brandon Thurston tweeted this out. This is from Puck's Matt Baloney. I believe he's a sports media reporter of some renown or not. Who knows? But here's what he said. Quote, I'm told the exclusive window closes in July, and AEW leader Tony Khan is said to be disappointed with the offer currently on the table. Khan also surely knows that David Zaslav, losing the NBA would give AEW more leverage, even though the money to re-up AEW is a mere drop in the NBA bucket. If the window closes without a deal, others could swoop in for those rights, as Comcast has done with the NBA. Extra awkward, because Warner Brothers Discovery is said to own a stake in the league. I'm not sure how alluring AEW would be to another platform, especially since only non-WWE partners could bid. But the wrestling shows still do okay on the Turner networks. It's reliable programming, and a rival suitor could further push Zaslav into hot water in his cable carriage deals.
I don't see a lot of other comparable, or very many, or any other comparable networks with comparable exposure and brand name and cachet in the industry wanting not only the distant second wrestling promotion, but also to want that shit on their airwaves, the barbed wire and the blood and the goofiness and the amateurishness.
See, the thing is, Tony Khan right now has a pretty fair deal. Because of that deal and because of, well, not really because of that deal, it's a very good deal. Because of the expenditures, because of things like the video game, because of guys making six figures and barely being used or
seven figures,
or their value has been completely minimized. Yeah, I mean, the Bucks are making seven figures. Are they worth it? No, but they're getting it. There's lots of other guys getting a lot of money.
Yeah, what you're saying is they could be profitable now if this was run like a business with just the money they're getting.
Right, which gets into this thing because the problem is Tony Khan set this up in everyone's mind. From Dave Meltzer on down. From the very beginning of AEW, we got this deal because this is valuable real estate and we intend to get a big rights renewal, a massive rights renewal when the time comes. And that's where we are right now. Can you imagine if you went into a bar and you saw the hottest girl you've ever seen, and in your head you're like, man, I got to find a way to go talk to her and get her to want to get to know me. You don't then go to her friends and go, hey, I'm going to fuck the shit out of your friend. I plan on fucking the shit out of, it'll take me a little while, but I'm going to fuck the shit out of her. No. That's why Tony announcing all this out loud from the beginning was stupid. Because AEW has a fair deal right now. When you hear that Tony's not happy about the deal, we'll address that in a moment, it's because he thinks he deserves a major rights increase, and he doesn't.
Because he decided that it was going to happen. Just like from the start, he decided that he was going to take over, and Vince was a flunky, was a mere pittance, that this was going to be the greatest wrestling of all time, and he knew how to do this. He was convinced.
And you could try to present any kind of number you can to, fancy things up. Look at how good we do it here. Look at how good we do there. But key demos down, overall numbers down. Overall number keeps shrinking. Key demos catching up to the overall number. Dynamite's catching up to Collision, which is catching up to Rampage.
Which is catching up to test patterns.
I agree with what this guy Matt Baloney, who is quoted here, said.
I think he's full of baloney.
It's cheap programming. It's reliable, cheap programming. If you could deal with the content, you're not paying very much to have it on your air every week. Problem is, Tony can't be profitable unless he gets a big rights increase. And again, at that point, it's important to note, we're still basing everything we know around what Tony lets people know. It's a private company. We don't know what the numbers really are. Tony likes to make everything sound a lot better than it really is. But what have you seen that would cause them to get a rights increase? And if they lose the NBA is the kind of thing that networks or streaming services or whatever will lose money on because of having the NBA and everything that does. It's a rainmaker. It brings people into the door. If you lose that, yeah, they've got more money. First of all, that's the sports division, not the entertainment division. And who knows what happens to the future of that sports division without the NBA. It's not like the network's just like, okay, the NBA's gone. We got a few $1 billion. How can we spend it across the network?
They might not have that few $1 billion because the NBA is big enough to affect the carriage fees that the networks get from the cable systems, but AEW is not.
Right.
So if TBS is worth $5 a head because they got the NBA, maybe without it, they're worth $4 a head. These are made up numbers, but you see where I'm going. And then that means that they are paying less money out because they don't have the NBA, but they're taking less money in because they don't have the NBA.
And it's important to note everyone's assuming that TNT's out, that Warner Brothers Discovery's out, that the NBA is going to go to a streaming service. They can have a deal somewhere else. That's not done yet. That's not official.
But a lot of people saying it.
But if they come back in and they have to pay even more than they expected to keep the NBA because it's that important, like you said, you just gave incredible, valid reasons. Who knows how much extra money there'll be at that point? It's not like it's going to be, okay, we're paying more for the NBA, so now there's more for you too. No, that's not how it works.
Now we're paying more for the same thing that we had that we have to have, so we got to cut back on some of the frivolous expenditures.
AEW has nothing but frivolous expenditures. And they could be profitable right now, and they're not. For Tony Khan's roster reasons.
Does that mean that Tony Khan is a roster-farian?
If they want to continue and not lose as much money as they've been losing, they need to somehow get that company into some sort of realistic financial setting, because you're not going to get a massive increase multiple times over. You'll be lucky if you get, I don't want to put a number on it, but you're not going to get a big increase. You're not going to get the video game to all of a sudden do well. It's now being given away for free.
Well, now, wait a minute. If a lot of people discover how much fun it is because they can play it for free, won't they go out and spend $30 or $40 on it?
On what? The game they already have for free?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
They'll have to wait for the next game to come out, which will never come out, because why would they ever do another fucking game?
And at this rate, it would be Boston's third album anyway. It'd take 5 years.
So that's the point. And, again, too, you look at Ring of Honor. Tony never got a TV deal for Ring of Honor. He says it was because he was loyal to TBS. It seems to be a one-sided thing. They didn't say, hey, you bought this Ring of Honor, you better not put it anywhere. That's not what we've heard. Tony wanted to be loyal to them and not put it anywhere, which is a nice way of saying he didn't have anywhere to really put it. Although we did hear didn't they turn down, where's NXT going?
CW.
Channel 11, yeah.
WB.
That's right.
Whatever it is these days. I mean, can you imagine? They may have just, if they'd gotten on CW, they would have probably just pissed off another network into not want another wrestling program, because however much we take to task the AEW program, it's the big brother of the Ring of Honor program that also Tony's responsible for. So it would be the same bad wrestling with even smaller names.
Well, Jim,
that network would not be happy. But go ahead.
Jim, I have a report here from the Wrestling Observer newsletter site. AEW denies disappointment with first WBD TV rights renewal offer by Josh Nason. AEW has denied a Monday night report from Puck that the first offer made by WBD towards a new TV rights deal was disappointing. According to Dave Meltzer, AEW sources have told him that the first offer was not disappointing to Tony Khan.
I wonder what sources those are.
Who's that source? But that the two sides have yet to reach any deal. Negotiations for both TV and streaming are ongoing with WBD and not TNT Sports. The Puck report from longtime Hollywood insider Matt Belloni, then it goes into what it said here. He also reported that WBD head David Zaslav and TNT Sports head Luis Silberwasser want to keep all 3 AEW shows. After the reporting came out, it was pointed out by some online that Belloni is longtime friends with WWE CEO Nick Khan.
Uh-oh.
And that Belloni has had Khan on his podcast before leading some to believe it was a planted piece. WWE met with WBD.
Either that or that means he's got a lot of inside information.
That means that's what Tony said. If that's here after the source already said Tony wasn't disappointed at all, and all of a sudden the other source was Tony, who's completely paranoid about anyone who's ever had any relationship with Nick Khan. We saw that with, what's his name, Ariel Helwani. All of a sudden, he's had him on his podcast before, leading some to believe it was a planted piece. WWE met with WBD during their TV rights negotiations, which Tony Khan said was part of sports. When asked about it, their current deal is believed to expire at the end of this year.
Well, anybody that knows Nick Khan, it probably has more inside information than most jackoffs, because Nick Khan, I would assume, in his position, knows everything that there needs to be known about any major television moves of wrestling promotions anywhere, don't you? As soon as goddamn things are said in confidence among these high muckety-muck television executives.
I think if you go back, I guess, at least 15 years, Nick Khan is probably as knowledgeable as anyone in the field about not just wrestling, but any sports, television deals, media deals, anything. Before WWE, he was an agent. He represented a lot of people, and agents know what other agents are doing. They have to stay in touch with the marketplace. So he may know more than anyone about the TV landscape. And again, he's still in the field. He's still out there. And we've heard him openly mock Tony Khan, who's just a few years younger than him, just like 3 or 4 years younger than him. And he called him the kid.
The kid.
But he put over his dad. He said his dad is a real nice guy, but the kid, we don't take him seriously.
Well, you can't. You can't. These are big time fucking people in the WWE hierarchy now. Major Hollywood fucking movers and shakers and executives and successful business people. And you've got fucking hippity hop down here having his spasms and hugging people. They can't take it seriously. And they see that sooner or later this thing could bankrupt Shad Khan if it was allowed to go on long enough. And they know that it won't be. Because as much as he loves his son, he's not going to be living in a box under the overpass for the sake of Tony having a wrestling company.
I don't think he has to worry about that. He makes a lot of money from that patent, don't it?
Well, that's sooner or later. You can't tell me that he's making more money right now than Tony is losing. I'm sure he's got a big bank account, and I'm sure he makes a lot of money, but can he be making it as fast as Tony is losing it over the last 4 or 5 years?
Multiple times over, yes.
Good Lord. For a car bumper?
One that everyone who is going to sell that kind of car would ever need to use, yeah. And you couldn't try to get around it because he has the patent.
You know what? I ought to invent.
And then since that time, he bought every sporting team that his son had any interest in. And look at how that's gone.
I ought to invent something that people can't do without.
Well, easier said than done. You have any ideas?
Well, I just had the idea to do it. So I'll have to get back with you on what I'm actually going to do. But it'll be something that everybody needs.
Well, we will see if David Zaslav gets back to us on what he needs to do. But this is your show. Let me turn it back over to you.